Okay, so if you really want to hit better iron shots, longer, straighter, more accurate, I've got the drill for you to enable that. You see, what a lot of people tend to do when they're hitting iron shots is try and get the golf ball up in the air. We're all obsessed with getting the golf ball as high as possible, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's a certain knack to it and a certain way to do it and a way not to do it. Today we're going to cover both of those. You see, when we play in pro-ams or we're giving lessons, we see so many golfers who try and get the golf ball up in the air like this. I've struck that okay, and you can see it's gone really, really high, but it's just not gone that far. It's carried 149 yards, it's released out to 157, and if we look at the numbers here, you'll see that club head speed's okay, it's a little bit down, it's 85, attack angle's 0. Now, dynamically, that is not what we want. We don't want a launch angle of 21.8. We want it to be ideally a little bit lower than that, and we actually want to be able to hit down on that ball, because essentially what will happen a lot, you could be consistent at that. So if I hit you exactly the same shot again and really just try and get that ball up in the air, I've tried to hit that exactly the same, attack angle 0 again, but as you can see I've hit the ground before it. So actually I've hit 123 yard carry there. So what's going to happen here is we're not going to have the consistency in the strike that we want to get. So a fantastic drill to do this, and everybody should have the piece of equipment we're going to use because it keeps your clubs clean. It's of course a towel. So we have a lovely, rather dirty Northern Ball Markers towel here. I'm going to place this down behind the ball here. I'm going to place it a couple of inches behind, so I've got plenty of room to be able to hit down on that ball. And if I actually were to release the club too early here and hit down behind the ball, catch it heavy, we're going to hit that towel. So I'm going to leave it ideally a couple of balls behind there, get it nice and flat behind. And from here, what that's going to make me do is as I get to the top of the backswing, I want to feel a shift in my weight or in my pressure in the feet. I want to feel that go to the left. As soon as that goes towards my target, so that's to the left for a right-handed golfer, I can start to release the club down, hit the ball, then hit the turf or the mat in this example because we're on the simulator. So having done this, I'm still going to take the club away nice and shallow, and then I'm going to hit down on that ball. You'll see that ball comes out a lot lower, a lot more penetrating. That ball's carried 162 yards, so it's carried a lot further, and it's launched a lot lower. It's launched at kind of 17 degrees. Spin rate's much better, and we're having a lot more distance. And the key here is to not do it until you can get it right, because I can get lucky every once in a while and hit a good shot, but let's do it until we can't get it wrong. That's something which Rory McIlroy said when he's practicing. Make sure that you kind of keep going until it feels a little bit more autonomous, which is the word that we're going for, of course. So we'll go again. I'll take the club back just as I want to. So if we start to think about how the pressure and the weight transfer is moving, essentially I want to allow the club to move back. As the club loads up, so the butt of the club is pointing to the ball, I feel that pressure moving to the right foot, but we're still rotating as we go. So I'm starting to feel like the top of my body rotates. Then as we set it, the hips rotate. We then get to the top of the backswing. From here is when I feel that shift to the left. And I almost feel like I get a shift with the knee and the hip this way. So it's a rotational move with the hip. It's kind of the opposite of the takeaway. And from here, we're down into the ball. Now, what do you notice about that shaft angle in relation to where it was on the first two shots we hit you? The first two shots we hit, the shaft angle was a lot more neutral. And of course, I spoke to you earlier about dynamic loft. So dynamic loft is the opposite of static loft. Static loft is here. So if I've got a 7-iron, that's around 30 degrees, give or take, depending what model you use. Dynamically, we want to be able to move that loft downward by creating forward shaft lean. That's going to allow, first of all, you to be in more control of the club face. It's also going to allow for kind of lower, more penetrating golf shots, which of course travel a little bit further. I'm going to give you a little bit of a kind of analogy for that as we go through this video, but generally what I want to feel like I'm doing is as I load up to the top of the backswing, I feel as though, yes, we move down into a delivery position. You'll see how that left hip starts to rotate, the pressure goes into the left foot, and as I move around my body here, we create that forward shaft lean by putting the hands in the space the hips have actually made. So the hips, if they were to slide forward and bump forward, we can't do that. We can't get the hands there that's when you hit the very, very bad strikes, the unmentionables, and just not very good golf shots. So as I get to the top of the backswing, I'm conscious that the towel is there. That's the drill that allows us to get down into the back of the ball. If you get really, really confident, you could start to kind of edge that towel a little bit closer to the ball, because we are, of course, hitting down on the ball. So this should never come in to play, really. And as we get into it a little bit more, you'll start to see that I can hit really, really nice penetrating shots. I can get them carrying a lot further than we were doing with the standard shots. That's carried 162, running up to 163. And again, it comes down to consistency, it comes down to practice, and it comes down to just feeling like, how can I get this out onto the golf course to hit longer, straighter, more accurate, just better quality golf shots realistically. So what I might do here is I might set the club forward a little bit. So I might actually set a little bit of kind of forward shaft lean. That would be too much, but ideally I want to see the butt of the club pointing at kind of my left belt loop here. So I've got that tiny bit of preset forward shaft lean. We spoke about the difference between static and dynamic loft. So ideally, I want to hit down on that ball just a little bit with some forward shaft lean, so we start to see a nice low dynamic loft. So as you'll see, we get that kind of preset forward shaft lean, we rotate to the top, and then from there, you can see we get that nice penetrating golf shot that's going to carry a lot further than the 150 yards we did start with. Dynamically, we can see that we've got an attack angle of 0.7, so that's a little bit down on the ball. We have a dynamic loft of 21.6. It's launching around 19 degrees with 6,000 RPM, which I'm quite happy with. Now, one thing that you might start to see is if you go too far this way, so we get too much forward shaft lean, that can be a bit of an issue, because if I'm here and I go that way, you can see that's a massive kind of over-exaggeration, but we do start to see that when we try to get golfers getting that forward shaft lean. The club face just stays too far open, and you can see we get a little bit of a duffy shot to the right-hand side. The alternative to that is if you don't get the forward shaft lean and you don't hit down on it, that towel's not going to be able to help us, because generally that's the shot that you see. So that's almost kind of backwards shaft lean. We can see the club face really wrapping over there. And if we start to look at the difference in numbers there, you'll see that dynamic loft wasn't too bad, but attack angle was bang on zero once again. Face angle was 5 degrees closed. The face was close to the path, and the launch direction is 10 degrees to the left. So it's something that's a really, really simple drill. It can really help you get in more accurate with your irons, hitting your irons a lot further, and ultimately helping you get good at golf.